All right, Lakers, T-Wolves predictions. Kwab, let's do this. Actually, first, subscribe. Let us know who you got in how many games, who your X factors are, all of that good stuff. Kwab and I are going to try to bring you guests also to maybe recap a few games, maybe preview the series. We're going to have Claire DeLune on to give the Lakers side of things. So that should be fun. I don't know when. I got to hit up Claire sometime this week, but I think we're going to have that as well. So, Lakers, T-Wolves, we're going to do it in the same format that we've been doing all of our prediction videos. I'll start with you, Kwab. The T-Wolves win this series if blank.
T-Wolves win this series if Ant kind of just has a amazing locked in series, but they show up defensively, and that means perimeter defensively. I think that, and we'll talk about this later because we both have the same opinion where we feel like Gobert is going to be mismatched hunted the whole game. But the one thing that made the T-Wolves really good last year was their defense. Their defense was great, and that was Ant, Conley, Jaden McDaniels, all just locking on the perimeter. And I'm gonna say it now, my X factor for the T-Wolves is Jaden McDaniels.
Okay.
Because I feel like him and even whoever else, they have to be able to not shut down like the Lukas, LeBron, and ARs, but be able to sustain where like they're not doubling so much. So that because you know how many 3-pointers like Luka can create, how many open shots Luka can create, how many open shots LeBron can create, even AR, and how they since the trade. Please investigate NBA. You're doing a terrible job. Investigate the trade. Investigate the trade.
Get on it.
Get on it. But how like you just see so many players, their three-point percentage has gone up since the trade. How Jackson Hayes has played well just because he's been easy lob threat. It's just getting easy dunks the whole time. So if the T-Wolves are able to kind of just sustain defensively perimeter, like just again, I don't think you can shut down Luka, you can shut down LeBron or AR, but just where you can withhold it so you don't need to bring so much help. That could be a big factor throughout the series. And I think Jaden McDaniels is always been one of the best defenders in the league. Mm-hmm. He just needs to be consistent as it goes along.
All right. Well, I think the T-Wolves win this series if they're able to help Rudy Gobert when he's isolated. Shout out to Sean with a W. I don't know his last name. I just know it's Sean the W on Twitter. We've had him on the. What's his last name? From Knicks Film School.
Yep.
We were talking about Rudy Gobert and his issues in the playoffs with being sent out to the perimeter and having to rotate. I mentioned the Terrence Mann game. Clippers Jazz Western Conference Semifinals Game 6 where Terrence Mann had 40. I was at that game, actually, which was wild. And I mentioned how the Lakers are going to put Rudy Gobert in hell. Just absolute hell on the perimeter, pick and roll situations, and having him rotate. However, during that conversation with Sean, he made a good point where it's like it's not the same in Utah because now he has players who can actually keep their man in front of them with the Timberwolves. And I think that's going to be a huge factor in this series. Are the Jaden McDaniels, the Anthony Edwards, who is a really good defender when he's engaged, on the ball defender, your Julius Randles of the world, are they going to be able to hold down the perimeter while Rudy Gobert's out there as well? Because you know the Lakers are going to try to take Rudy Gobert out of the paint. They have the small ball lineup to do so, which is weird because a small ball lineup for the Lakers is actually a pretty big lineup for a small ball lineup. But they're going to run a small ball lineup on the Timberwolves when Rudy Gobert's out there. They're going to take him away from the paint. They're going to make him guard the pick and roll. They're going to make him rotate along with everybody else. And the key to beating rotations is not to get in rotations in the first place, right? Yeah, you might get in a pick and roll, but if you have your man one-on-one, if you're Jaden McDaniels, you can't let Luka beat you. If you're Julius Randle, you can't let's just say LeBron. I don't know who's going to be, just hypothetically, LeBron beats you. You know, you can't let Austin Reeves beat you off the dribble because once it's in the paint, the ball's traveling around the perimeter, and that's a wrap. So I think the T-Wolves can win the series if they don't let the Lakers get the ball moving around the perimeter in rotation, and that small ball lineup is ineffective because now you have the height advantage. You're gonna have a rebounding advantage in this series, I would think, with Rudy Gobert, with Julius Randle, Naz Reid. It's just whether or not you can slow down that Lakers lineup enough to compete on the other end as well. And my X factor, this goes into my X factor. My X factor is Julius Randle. And Julius Randle's my X factor, not because I'm a Knicks fan, but because we know on the opposite end of the ball, Anthony Edwards is going to get trapped on the pick and roll. I don't even know what they're going to do with the pick and roll. Like, I assume, because JJ Redick likes to be aggressive, I assume they're going to trap Anthony Edwards. Not all the time. You can't trap every time. But in important parts of the game, they're going to trap Anthony Edwards. And Julius Randle's going to have to be the guy who creates on 4-on-3 advantages in the half court. He's going to be the one who's going to have to make good decisions in the half court. He's going to have to play well. And he has not historically played well in the playoffs. You know, to give him grace, he's been hurt. The first year with the Knicks, he was the only player who would actually put the ball in the basket. So the Hawks were just like basically double teaming him and soft triple teaming him at times.
Yeah.
I think if Julius Randle can play how I know he's capable of playing, in the sense where it's, I have a 4-on-3 advantage in the half court, paint, kick it to the right guy, DiVincenzo for 3, Naz Reid for 3, even sometimes Jaden for 3. I think the Wolves have a chance in this series. I've gone back and forth with how long I think this series is going to go, and I think it all depends on how well Julius Randle is able to execute in the half court when these situations come about.
Yeah, point Julius, as we coined him, is like when he's playing that way, especially like how he was that those couple years in the Knicks where he was an all-star, like most improved, all that, like that player is going to be very, very important for the Wolves. So, like you said, if the type of coverages that Ant's going to see, if it's Julius being like the safety valve, he has to play the right way. Just, you know what I mean, the way he can spray off the ball and even get in the paint and finish. So he's got. I can see why that's an X factor. Not because he's a former Knick, but just because he's going to be very, very important for the Wolves.
Yeah, and I would imagine the Wolves are going to do their best to try to get Luka on a switch in a situation and just pick on Luka. That's what I think is going to end up happening. But I don't know if JJ's going to allow that, right? I think if you're bringing Luka's guy up to set the screen, I think Luka's going to end up trapping. I don't think he's going to allow. I mean, they're going to have to, right? Because you can't run the same scheme the whole series. But I think for the most part, I think JJ Redick can do whatever he can to get Luka off an island, especially if it's with Anthony Edwards and honestly Julius Randle too. Like Julius Randle is, he gets a lot of flack, but he's been an All NBA player twice in this league. He's an All-Star.
I was going to say with that when previous games during the course of the season where like Luka is getting targeted, I always wonder why they might do it this series. Why the Lakers don't hard hedge and then recover. Like,
right. I mean, I think see that I should do that. A lot of teams don't do that anymore.
The one team that does that a lot and does it is the Warriors. Like I see him do that a lot. Like Curry is so good at not allowing the switch. Like he will hard hedge. Yeah. And then they'll recover. And then the final game of the season against the Clippers. Again, great script writing by the NBA. They were trying to get the mismatch, trying to get Gary Payton Jr. off like Kawhi, and trying to force a switch onto Curry, and they just it was just a hard hedge and recover. And the Lakers might look into that. I don't know. It might be something like they do, like you said, that or they just throw the trap, and then they go from there. So those are options that they have.
All right, Kwab. The Lakers win the series if blank.
Lakers win the series if I hate the term, but the role players come to play in terms of hitting shots, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of Lakers' main players create shots for other people. Like that's the Luka's one of Luka's best skills this past, and same with LeBron, even Austin Reeves. So they're going to create a lot of perimeter shots, open shots, and the Lakers are very confident in taking these open shots. Yeah. So in turn, like my X factor ends up being Dorian Finney-Smith. Just same, yeah, because he ends up getting a lot of open shots, and he's somebody that does his job very, very well in terms of 3-and-D. He can guard up in terms of guarding bigs, guarding fours, guarding guards, but he knows that all Luka, LeBron, and the rest of the players, they have confidence in him in taking shots. So he's gonna be counted on in terms of taking and making a lot of these open shots. You also hope you get consistent play from like Rudy, even Gabe Vincent, and what's his name has played really well. Jordan Goodwin has played really well for them since they got him from a two-way to a standard contract. But I think players like Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be very, very important, especially for them on offense, just because he's going to have a lot of open shots.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
you pretty much said what I was going to say about DFS. He's going to have a lot of open shots. Also, he's going to get some important defensive assignments. You know, he might be the one on Anthony Edwards from time to time. If Julius Randle's going off, you stick DFS on Julius Randle. I think he's perfectly capable of doing that. He's one of your better defenders. So I think, you have Luka who's going to carry the load offensively, bringing up the basketball, doing pick and rolls, and then if that doesn't really work, you have LeBron James, and if that doesn't work, you have Austin Reeves. DFS, like, he's going to have to hit open shots. There are going to be times where the T-Wolves are in rotation and the defense is collapsing and DFS is going to be open. He's going to have to hit those shots. And also, if he can do an admirable job on someone like Anthony Edwards or Julius Randle where, one or both are not going crazy, I think the Lakers pretty much have a really good chance of winning this series. Kwab. All right. Who do you have? Lakers, T-Wolves.
I was gonna do the whole Shannon Sharp Lakers in 5, but I'm not. I think it's Lakers in. I feel like it's Lakers in 6.
Okay.
The one benefit of this the Luka trade has been that it allows LeBron just to like rest throughout the course of the game in terms of like he doesn't have to be the hub on offense. So you've seen like his usage rate like kind of uptick in the fourth quarter. In the start of fourth quarters, he just kind of because he has so much energy, he can kind of just go, and it ends up being a game changer for them. I think like it's gonna be an interesting chess match because like we all believe that Rudy Gobert is gonna be in hell. Like we just feel like that's gonna be he's gonna be targeted. But I feel like the way the Timberwolves have been playing since they've been getting healthy and kind of figuring out like their roles in rotation, they've been very, very effective. There's a reason why they were able to move up to this place, and that goes with Julius, that goes with Dante. So I feel like they can get off a couple of games, but I feel like the Lakers should win this series. So I'm gonna go Lakers in 6.
I want to go Lakers in 7.
In 7, okay.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to go 6. It's funny when this series first was like, this is the series. I was like, oh, Lakers in 5. Yeah. But the more I think about it, the more I think Luka can be exposed on the defensive end. Anthony Edwards is Anthony Edwards. I think Julius Randle's going to have a good season. I think they're going to have the rebound advantage. The Lakers themselves, even after the Luka trade, you're still kind of trying to find your footing. You're not a team that's been together for a really long time, and they've lost some really bad games during this time. I could see the Lakers losing game 1, having a hard time every time they're in Minnesota. I do think in a game 7, I trust the Luka Doncic, LeBron James tandem more. I think Austin Reeves is going to be huge in this series. I just think you're going to see some pretty inconsistent basketball from both teams. I think you're going to see blowouts on both ends. Okay. I think it's going to be confusing. I think people are going to watch this series and just be like, "What was that?" and the next, "What was that?" Like
what just happened?
Yeah, I could see for instance, I could see the Lakers winning by 30 in game 2, and then the T-Wolves winning by 30 in game 3, and everyone's like, "I don't know what to think of this series."
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
But ultimately, I like the Lakers in this series just because. Like I say, I'm probably going to say in all of our predictions, the fact that they have Luka, who can run the pick and roll and is one of the best of all time reading the pick and roll and creating off the pick and roll. And then you have LeBron James, who's the smartest player ever to live, probably. And then on top of that, if they're not creating stuff with the ball, you have Austin Reeves, who's a star in this league. I just think the Lakers have more options to go to on the offensive end than the T-Wolves do. And as much as I love Julius Randle, trusting him in situations where he's going to have to make big decisions throughout a course of 2 weeks is a lot to ask. He could do it in game, but there's also going to be a game where he, fails miserably at it. That's just been Julius's MO the whole time. And I do think that at the end of the day, I just trust the talent more on the Lakers end than I do the T-Wolves end. But I do think people are kind of underestimating the T-Wolves. The more I've thought about this series, the more I've kind of came to the conclusion that this is actually going to be a really tough series. This isn't the T-Wolves that started the season out, whatever they started out. This team has been really hot lately. They've made their way from out of the playoffs all the way, past the play-in a Western Conference that's been really competitive. So for me, I think it's going to be a great series. I think people are underestimating the T-Wolves. I wouldn't say overrating the Lakers a little bit because I do think they're championship contenders, so it's kind of weird to say that they're overrating them, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as a series as Laker fans think it's going to be.
Agree, yeah.
All right, well, let us know what you think in the comments. Who do you got and how many games? Do you see an upset? Do you see the Timberwolves pulling this series off? Drop a comment who your X factors are. Let us know if you agree, disagree. Stay tuned for another prediction next on The Dime. Peace.